We start too soon with that.
Now, 38 years of discussing the pros and cons of alcohol.
Alcohol, yeah, absolutely. We've had quite a
You're gonna make me
greeting
go get my
tonight as
jar and have it in here during the show.
we're
Yeah, we
getting
are
ready to
live, guys. We are live.
do our show
You just hit the button.
on the 38 years of playing with pals of mine. We've got all our fun friends in this film strip tonight with us, and we had a very interesting discussion about how to get through the real problems in life. There's several really good options for for being able to deal with stress. I'm Lew Jensen, and this is the gathering of the ID Network. We've been an organization now since 1983. We're a gathering of talent. We help people discover they have some talent, help them develop and master that talent, and then look at learning to share our talent with the world. So welcome to all of you that are participating tonight and those that are over on YouTube and on my Google Plus channel watching. We appreciate you coming and sitting down and visiting with us. I hope this is a show that will help you. I'm going to tell my story and go through that again because it's the 38th anniversary. Saturday, yesterday, 38 years ago, the day before Easter, my life took a whole new course, and it's just gone from, and as is world, to something really, really extraordinary and fun to play with. And as we get rolling tonight, what I'd like to do is kind of introduce everybody that's in the film strip with us tonight. First of all, I'd like to have this show's really with Tam, because she's the one person that has stayed closest to this concept and supported it and been a part of it for years and years and years and years. Tammy, you want to say hello and welcome everybody to the show tonight?
Yes, I would. Thank you. 38 years. Isn't that amazing? I haven't been along quite 38 years, but pretty close. And it's been quite a journey. It's been quite a journey. It's been fun to watch a lot of people really make the concept work and have fun with it. And I've enjoyed a great deal the friendship and actually companionship of everybody in the network. So,
it's been something we didn't expect to begin with, huh?
No, not to this degree, no.
Ron, introduce yourself and tell them where you're from.
I'm Ron Schneeberger. I'm from Jupiter, Florida, and I know Dr. Lew Jensen since the mid to late 90s, and we used to meet just about every week at woodworking shows where he and I were vendors there and demonstrating our products. And so it's been a real good friendship and experience, and through him and through the INE network, I met all these nice people in the film strip, and plus many more.
It's been quite an exciting thing, Ron, to watch your influence and your impact on what we're growing here. It's been really great. Today is especially, I'm pleased you're here. Thank you for coming. Then there's the famous Mel Joins. Mel actually is the guy that kind of can solve any problem. I've never seen a troubleshooting person like Mel Joins, and to be able to take on just doesn't seem to be a problem you can't deal with, Mr. Joins. Tell them who you are and where you're from.
Well, my name is Mel Joins, and I live in Candler, North Carolina, which is like right in the edge of Asheville, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I first saw Lew Jensen in Fresno, California in 1986, demonstrating his product. And it wasn't until 1992 that I was able to get one. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. And Mel and Ron are both network. And when you see the kind of work that they do and the kind of income they can produce, there's the substantial side of bragging about what we've done. What started out as my story very quickly became our story. And together now what we're looking for is your individual story to come and participate and contribute to. Jay, where are you from?
I am from the very windy side of western Oklahoma.
As a matter of fact.
That is definitely a fact. But yeah, I've been, I guess, out of this group here, I've been considered as the new kid on the block. I've known everybody here, I guess, about 3 years now. Haven't got to meet anybody in person yet, but hopefully someday I definitely will.
Yeah, well, there's no question. That comes almost without question at the time. So good to have you here tonight, Jay.
Thank you.
And it's exciting to watch your personal growth. Jay is becoming a master at engraving custom motorcycles, and actually a really cross section of skills now that are kind of exciting to watch. Just about everything he does gets a little better every time, and that's always of interest to us as we try and progress in the direction we're going now. We've had Nick Polschek has also jumped in. Nick, you want to introduce yourself and say hello?
There, unmuted the microphone.
There you are.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Polschek in Rochester, Minnesota.
And how long have you had your equipment, Nick?
19 years.
19 years. So we go down the road a ways, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We do. Good to have you here tonight. I appreciate it tremendously.
Thank
And
you.
Lance Larson has jumped in. Where are you from, Lance? You get your microphone on, Lance, and introduce yourself. Whoop, we just lost him. Lance is from Arizona, and I'm sure he'll jump in and connect with us again in the next little bit. What I'd like you to each do is cut your microphones out while we do this show. But Tam, I want you to turn your mic on and come in and pipe in at any point, because you're the one that's helped contribute and sustain this for as many years as we've been going. And there we go, right there. So share the screen and get on with this. Get on with this show. Okay, where is my button? Right there's the one I need. I'm so intrigued with how things have happened for me personally and the general direction of how things have gone. Someone still has their microphone open. Can you shut your mics off on that top little banner? We're still getting a lot of background noise.
That's Tam Marie's.
Tam Marie, can you get your microphone off? There we go. There we go. There we go. Good. Nope, it's come back on. There, she got it. All righty. I like to tell a story because, first of all, the impact it's had on me personally has been dramatic. My life was headed in one direction very aggressively. I grew up poor, and I was just hell-bent on not dying poor. I thought that that's how you had a great life, was to just pour it on and get rich. And I was well on my way when I was midlife, and then some things started to happen that really made a difference in my life, helped me to rethink things pretty dramatically. And all of a sudden, instead of going after everything in my life I was driven toward, and I pushed my life hard, I began to go in the directions of things that drew my spirit, things that I enjoyed much more than just making money. And so as I start into this 39th year of doing my hobby that turned into my whole life, the reason I tell the story is not so much to brag about what's happened to me personally, but to talk about how I think that inspires and that same flame of passion be lit in your own life. To me, it really starts out not being what you expect, but then the more you get into it, the stronger will be the pull. And I think that when that passion shows up, then you really have something worthwhile to share and mix with the world and perhaps to keep you going. The trick is to find something that you really have a dream in your heart enough that it will overcome anything that shows up. And it's your ability to hang in there is because it's your dream, not someone else's. It's what you dream of doing. I want to do a paid political announcement to begin with. This show is sponsored by the INE Network, which is the gathering of talent. I'm trying to build a cable television network sponsored eventually called Our Journey TV, which will one day be the platform and the format for people with talent, creative talent, that have a way to learn how to do better in the marketplace. Most artistic people just struggle like crazy with making money from their talent so they can pay the bills and do more. And I call it opportunity intersection. It's the books that I've written. I've written 7 books about the subject of how to move your life from your as-is world to something better. And look for this opportunity for yourself to be able to turn it into something really worthwhile. It is also sponsored by the company now that Tammy owns called Profitable Hobbies. And Profitable Hobbies was started in 1983 around the power pen, the paragraving high-speed air turbine that I invented in the 80s. We formed the company in September of 1983, have grown it to as much as $5 million a year in sales and over 30,000 customers now. And when you realize the extremely good idea that a profitable hobby represents is a way for you to grow old. We've had a concept that has paid the bills for 30 years of having a good time and yet making a living doing it. If you've not seen the website, I encourage you to go look at profitablehobbies.com. It's a big site. There's a lot there to go look at. And this is the 800 number. The company's had the same exact 800 number on and paid for now for over 30 years. We've been good at what we do, and we continue to try and help people discover they have some ability, develop that ability, master something in the marketplace, and then learn to share it. I have to dedicate, each year I dedicate this particular show to my grandmother. Grandma Jessie was quite a woman. Her husband died when she had 4 children under the age of 10. Grandpa passed away, and Grandma raised her family and lived alone for years, ever since that time. And when I left for dental school, she was 84 years old, and I sat down with her and basically talked from the perspective that I would never see her again alive. And Grandma lived 22 years after that. And she was one tough little lady. Went after things and basically helped set the groundwork of the kind of attitude that I think I have, which is creative, and I don't stay very long on the bad things. And Grandma Jessie helped me look for those better kinds of attitudes. I've met a lot of people who succeeded with their individual lives, but their degree of success is more aimed at things that are, I don't know, the financial measuring method. And what I'm really pleased with is I've gone after the stuff that interested me. I found a thread of interest, and I've not let go now for 38 straight years. And if you can kind of sense that same potential, and agree you find something that turns you on that much, something that you absolutely love doing, and then you keep going in that direction, I think you'll end up with more success than you perhaps ever bargained for. Last year, or 38 years ago yesterday, My kids were doing a family Easter egg decorating contest, and we actually were doing yesterday an Easter decorating or a hunting contest, Easter egg hunting contest with the grandkids. And I asked my sons what if they remembered this day 38 years ago, and the oldest two do. Rhett and Lance both remember the day when we were decorating Easter eggs, and they were putting patterns on their shelf. And I got the idea of cutting the patterns out with the high-speed dental drill over at my clinic. And I went and actually tried it. The idea just hit me hard enough. I was intrigued enough that I went and actually tried it. And if there's one difference between what I've done and so many do not do, the idea hits them, but they never go actually do anything with the idea. They don't chase it. Cultivate it, hatch it, grow it into something is what it really takes to make it work. And this was the sample of the very first eggshell I ever carved with my high-speed drill. It was a chicken egg, so this is a turkey egg here. It's a little bit smaller, but I cut little holes in it because I didn't know anything else to do. But I was so intrigued of what I could do to an eggshell with a high-speed drill. It just blew me off the planet. And what started as my journey has become our journey now, which is what we're looking for is you and your relationship of what you might contribute. I think the INE network will end up being perhaps the best thing we've ever done because it binds us, it helps us to grow and climb those mountains of success together. Oh, excuse me, I got a cold and I'm just having a nightmare trying to hang on. I apologize. I hope I can keep going and manage. There's lots of quotes on the internet now. On any given day you can go through them and most won't mean anything to you, but some will hit you really hard. Excuse me just a second. Oh, I'm sorry. The show must go on. Every time I get caught in a situation where I'm struggling with my health and struggling with my age, and I keep thinking, it just feels so important that we do today what we possibly can do, because you never know what's going to ripple out into the future. And now that things are permanently recorded every time we do something like this, it feels even more important to me. I don't know how many more years I've got. From my age on out now, anything can happen. I had a really good friend die yesterday that was 30 or 73. And you just don't know how things are going to go. And when you roll out the best side of your life, that may be of a degree of inspiration for somebody else, I think it's so important that you just do your best to struggle with it and get through it. So I apologize for, I don't know how to shut the mic down either when I get caught in doing a PowerPoint. In the early 80s, Bill Janney bumped into me at a gun show, and he was getting ready to retire from General Motors. He's an electrician in the pneumatic or the bearing division. He fell in love with doing the carving with the power pen. Really began to do well. And he designed this briefcase and put my name on it, and gave it to me at one of our early Masters conferences. And then he sent me this thank you note to both Keith and I. All he intended was to do hunting trips. That's all he wanted his profitable hobby to do. But now it's taking him to every continent and all over the world in these hunting trips. But he's built an incredible name and reputation in Ohio, all over the world, for doing what he does. And he gave me on the bottom of the box he engraved, "Thanks for the encouragement." And that was the word that began to be the I&E network, because I literally had been looking for, what do we call it? We called it a network, but it was something that needed to be defined a little more. And I try to have people realize when I shot this image, I remember every second of getting it ready, of putting it together, to carving the shell. And even then, it spoke to me, it yelled at me, to realize that every human being struggles with being who they are. Every person has to discover that they really have something worthwhile to contribute. And the second you begin to realize you're this egg rather than all these ordinary eggs, all of a sudden you'll begin to see opportunity all over the place. Every dentist who finds out about me really doesn't like me, because they're in the mouth drilling with that high-speed drill constantly. And being a dentist is not all that easy to be. You're down in the mouth all day, every day. I had to hurt 30 people a day to make a living, and that got so discouraging. But all I did was take the straight dental drill, and then they built a curved one that every dentist uses and every patient knows. The right angle fits really good in the mouth for doing the upper and lower teeth. And all I did was straighten that thing back out into a straight design, another 90 degrees from this to this. This was the first ADI handpiece, first one we ever sold. And it was years and years and years ago. But all my life represents is this tiny little turn from this tool to this tool. It's 165,000 dentists, and that's a trade, a substantial trade. We sell in 44 different markets now, and we have 22 million wood tool buying hobbyists in this country. Our leading market niche. When you realize that you're that close to a really, really big idea yourself, I don't think it's an accident. I think it happens by design. Everything happens for a reason. But the thing you want to remember is that one little idea turns into the next idea, turns into the next idea, into the next idea, which then ultimately, over here's where the money is. And most people just won't cultivate or incubate the ideas they have long enough to get them into these other circumstances. I was right in between dentistry and jumping on this new entrepreneurial effort. I ran into a guy that had on his t-shirt written, "Having a good time is my job." And to me, when I started playing with my life more, doing the things I enjoyed more, then all of a sudden you'll find what I call the miracles in the doing. You really have to be careful at not allowing your head and your heart to be just sucked into what it sounds like will make money. It's amazing how many people go their entire lives hustling the buck, only to discover later that what they really should have been after is something that just absolutely thrilled their heart. I grew up with Walt Disney. He was my uncle too. And everything that he brought into his own individual life, yeah, he struggled with his own individual circumstances. But to be able to reach out and touch the world in a way that the Seven Dwarfs and Snow White did is, to me, what you should be looking for in a similar kind of manner. And when you begin to sense what maybe the world most wants or needs, that they all haven't experienced a degree of success before they die. I don't know a soul that doesn't want to feel like their life was worth it. Just not existing, just existing isn't a really good way to grow old. I push words together all the time and compose my own words, and What You Ought to Do is one of my favorites, because it's always someone else saying to you, "John, Susan, what you need to do is this." Being happy doesn't mean that everything's perfect. It means you decided to look beyond the imperfection. It ends up being attitude. Everybody wrote down a plan to be broke, flat, lazy, or stupid. Those things are what happens when you don't have a plan. So the idea of your as this world here to something better over here should be a plan that you're very determinedly going after. So what, where, and how does a person find success? For most human beings, as we age, we start lowering our ideas and standards. We back off our dreams and we begin to let things slide. And I'm going to try tonight to keep, if I can keep from coughing myself to death and bothering you too much, to help you really begin to continue to search inside. Keep your dreams alive and stay with it until reality actually shows up. Am I going to coast along, or am I going to really keep nudging things? If you find something that really challenges you personally and then go after that something with a vengeance, then you make a plan and stick to that plan. You love what you're doing, even a little bit, you will have an accomplishment and degree of satisfaction that will show up when you least expect it. I started a process called a liberal ledger. It's a journal, but it's a way of capturing the things that you most like. And when you'll capture the things you most like, you will often begin to build a pattern. The direction of where you maybe want to have your life go is that dream, that fire that keeps you going in that direction. If you're going to try to convince you that much of my journal has helped me figure out your own pathway and then stick with it, I try to help people understand how powerful this journaling method really is. Because it's you that picks out whatever you put into your personal journal, and then that begins to build a visual track record of the way that you should go. I have a community up on Google Plus called Google Plus Journal. This is an electronic digital journal. And if you'll go to this, put this in your journal search bar, your Google Plus search bar, it will bring you to Digital Journal. I have 51 members now is all. But what it'll do is help you learn how to set up this digital electronic journal on your new smartphone. I used to show everybody how to do this manually, but it takes a lot, and it involves a lot of space, and you consume every image or thought that comes to you goes into this journal. Now all you got to do is screen capture and throw it into your digital journal. But even a year's worth of this, if every digital image is worth 1,000 words, which it is, you collect a certain number of images over an individual year, and you're going to begin to see a pattern of preference, things that really speak to you individually. These are the things that I prefer. And it helps you then to begin to develop your marketplace. And if you begin to have a way of going at your living with a plan, okay, that dream of where you're headed is this out front target. I don't know any way to grow old any better. I listen to Rush Limbaugh every now and again, and last year about this time he was talking about he'd been 24 straight years doing what he does. And when I've been doing it 38 years, I'm really proud of that. And all you have to do is say, well, this is what I like, and this is the direction that I enjoy going. This is my motley crew. These are my children and my grandkids, some of them. And we get together, and this is where we have our parties on occasion and have some time together. And these are the ones that basically have sustained their crazy dad and their very eccentric grandpa in all my years. And every one of them are connected with me, but you have the same degree of connection around you. And if tomorrow you know more what you're going to do with your life, then you're way ahead of most of humanity, because today they're thinking about just getting up and go to work tomorrow. When in reality, you should be tomorrow nudging your dreams along a little further. And that then becomes this planning portion of what you're trying to do from where you are now to where you most would also like to be. If you can sense this part here, that the time you enjoy wasting is not time wasted, there's a pattern to that. And this is the beginning of the clue that I think, the word para means, alongside of similar to Sanskrit, means most centered place. So if you had your daily living was aimed in the direction of from your most centered place toward paradise, which is what I think you should be shooting at, would be a plan. It's a way of kind going about things. Everybody in the marketplace is asking what's it all about. And whenever I ask anybody, that people with some degree of experience have come along and helped me with my way, they have shared with me what they think is their best experience. And now, is that not what you should share? What have you learned about life that you really like, that you really treasure, that you really enjoy? Package that and begin to share that with the world. It's each of us, when we've been given much, we have much to give back. And it's now my giving back period. From 70 on, my plan of my life that I wrote out when I was just a young man was 7 10-year periods. And I'm now entering the very last one, which is to share with the world what I think I picked up along the way. The second this man told me that what I really needed to do was to dream up a worthwhile living and a life and then go in that direction. This man's still alive. Got to have a meeting with him last summer with Jack Solomon, and we spent almost 3 hours together visiting and laughing about how life has gone for all of us. And I told him and reminded him of the story he told me when I was just 19. And he said, "Did it stick?" And I says, "You have no idea." He told me, he says, "Why, young man, you can dream up your great life. Everyone has a free agency. Dream up a great life and then go after that life from then on." Right after that, I bumped into the book of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And he suggested basically the same thing. So from 18 to 21, I wrote out my life story in quite a bit of detail. And if I let you, and I've never let anybody read it, someday when I'm gone, then everyone can look at it and get back into it. But it's amazing how close I am to what I originally wrote out, even at that young time, because I kind of had a plan. I had something to shoot at. I had something, a way of aiming my life. You know, it's usually painful for everybody to measure their life and their living, because most all of us are short of what we dream of being. But if you'll hold true to your dreams and keep moving in that direction, or trying to move in that direction, you basically end up with something that really is worthwhile. But if you live this way, you're going to end up somewhere you didn't expect. Much less matter. So, if you listen to everyone else telling you which way you ought to go, then every road, any road will do. But if you pick it out and you determine where you want to take your life, number one rule in life is do what makes you happy. I'm trying to finish up writing the book, Drawn, Not Driven, is really proven to be a challenge, as is most writing efforts. But if you'll stick to the subject and you just keep finding better ways to improve it, gradually you'll uncover a dream that really is worth living. I'm going after it. I've mixed in the 7 blessings because I'm really curious about each of these factors that then begin to measure, help nudge your life in a passionate direction. And these 7 blessings are the things that we have to give. And I do a show before long on these 7 blessings. The first one is to have faith in yourself and faith in the future. Realize that the world isn't going to end tomorrow or next week or next year. It does go on. And when you can begin to cultivate a degree of faith in yourself and in your future, then things tend to work out no matter what comes along. The 2 big mentors in my life were Woody Searle and Jack Solomon. And since last year, and I presented this to this year now, Jacob has finally allowed me to videotape and photograph his collection. He's 84, and he's trying to find a place, a permanent home for his $40 million worth of handmade treasures. And I've been alongside Jack in that collection now for 35 years, and this last period of time to be able to photograph and videotape and get his commentary on all these things he's gathered. I think Jack has the largest collection of hand-done fine art, handmade fine art in the world. It's the most incredible stuff that he's managed to gather. And since last year to now, to be able to have this door finally of opportunity finally opened for me, and realize that now one of the dreams that I've cultivated for 30 years with no results now looks as it may actually have some results. It's just, I can't tell you how good that makes me feel to have stayed on task with that. I met Woody Searle the very time I needed help to get out of dentistry and find a way to redo and transform my life. Woody Searle showed up. And at the very time I needed them most, the teacher showed up to help me make that transition. But the second you begin to realize that you also are growing into a degree of a coach and counselor, if you can realize that what you're after is the position of experience to where you now have something really worthwhile to share. Growing old, which shares the experience of your own life, is just huge. I don't see anything on the horizon that an elderly person should do more than to package the stories that have contributed to the success of their life and trade that. Everything that Woody and Jack has taught me over my years of success in business are in this business plan. And it really is something that I think you should not only get, but stay with it. Really dig into it and begin to figure out how you can use their experience, your counsel, to make your own plan and stay then on that plan from then on. There's someone out in the world who's done what you're dreaming of doing, and they know the ways best from their degree of experience to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Most people don't have enough life to learn everything the hard way. It really does help to get someone else to move into the direction that you want to go. For a lot of my life, I've wanted to learn how to draw. And so for the last 7, 8 years now, time I've been doing my webinars, I've been learning to draw and sketch. This is my rendition of Gandhi. And I can tell you how it feels to get my ability to draw into this range. I have a long way yet to go, but I'm doing some decent work now. And when you can kind of look at this progress of 7 or 8 years worth of very consistent effort, I try and sketch just about every day. And that pattern then is what will begin to render what you need in the future. You zero in on what you most like and the direction you want to go, and then stay on it. I have pretty much, I'm an idea person, I'm an inventor, an innovator. I like to take ideas and bring them into the marketplace and make the business thereof work. And I love the challenge of making things work. A lot of people are intimidated and frightened with it and fear it, but I do not. I'm at a point now where the more potential it has, the harder I know how to hang in there. I saw this the first time and I just chuckled. I'm going, well, if there's one subject I really am passionate about, it's my curiosity. It just is. There's no other talent, but there is a tremendous degree of interest. So should you not, you're like I am. This is the same thing that everybody that sits into this show, especially if you stayed with me this long, you're passionately curious about life as well. And if you take the concepts of these who have succeeded and try and pull them into your life, and then realize that it's okay if it's uphill. It's okay if it's hard. It's the things you want to do is just really, really do well what you do well. When Walt went after that story of the Mary Poppins script, and he tried to get the rights to do the video about Mary Poppins, and that lady had come over here, and he'd sweet talked her and wined and dined her, and then she just got up on the plane and went home. And that very second he got on another plane and followed her to London, right into her life, and kept it after until he finally, it took him years to get the rights to redo the Mary Poppins story. I have cultivated 7 areas of my life that I pay attention to, and I think you start out with one, maybe add another or 2. But if my dream home were like this, like Saratrova is the name of my estate. Saratrova is Italian for search within. I've been playing with my hatchery. Wally Goddard cut this sign for me before there was a company. When I first started cutting eggshells and selling them in the marketplace. And I went after my hatchery. It's where I develop my ideas. My studio is where I do my artwork. My library is where I do my writing and my reading. The treasury of my life is my friends and family and network. The coaching part of my life is Lift As I Go is important. I like to do that. I hope I'm doing some contributing. The crusade of my life is the real purpose of art. Albert Hubbard said that art is a way. It's a way of doing things. It isn't a thing. It's not an item that we finish and produce and trade in the marketplace. It's a concept that we produce and trade in the marketplace. And then sharing efforts. I've been on Google Plus since it started. And I've watched the social media mature that's unlike any other. And as I see the strength and the power of what's happening here and the ability to mix, for heaven's sakes, do not back off, get more involved. This is how everything in the future is going to be marketed. And it's not just a toy. It really has some tremendous power, tremendous skills to move from where we first started. Tammy, do you remember this picture, dear? You got your mic on? That's her right there. We started carving gun classes and doing gun stock carving at Keith Holmes' studio.
Is that the first class?
I can't tell.
No.
I was hoping you could tell, because I don't think so.
Well, we both look young. We don't look so young anymore.
A couple of years ago, anyway.
Yeah.
But we had large classes, didn't we? Tammy was in charge of classes and helping people get here, learn to do the gun stock carving, and then moving on. And that's the famous Keith Holm, our first master, right there. A little bit of water under the bridge since this time.
Waterfalls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of it. Tammy has had an impact in a relationship with every one of these masters. Every one of them are major successes in our program. Do you want to introduce them? First one on the left, Tam.
That's Craig Holm, and next to him is his cousin Al Holm, and standing above me is Joe Cummings. To my right is Darwin Dower, and Kelly Thurgood, and Keith Holm.
How do you feel about this circle of people in your life, Tammy?
Pretty special group of men. They've been very great with me and taught me a lot. There's a couple missing, but yeah, they're pretty special guys.
The part that's been so interesting for Tammy and I is the relationship side of things. Norm and I did a lot of Boy Scouting work together, and he worked for this Utah State Department of State Parks. And he's kind of a police officer for the state. And believe me, when you run into, because I'm no little guy, but when you run into Norm, you just don't want to argue with him very long. He retired now, but his hobby, his niche, his whole life was photographing and keeping track of the petroglyphs that he ran into in Utah. So then he started doing engraving of petroglyphs and putting them into products and into ideas, and developed a way for him to take his life on into the future.
You know what he used to do, Lou?
Yeah.
Do you remember? He'd come in, and he'd grab me and put me on a chair so he could hug me.
Yeah. He's just such a mountain of a guy. But how do you have a business that helps you have relationships and continue relationships any better than this? A couple of years ago, I flew to LA and took these two friends to dinner with me. And Dick DeLoach is here as the editor of Truckin' Magazine that basically launched everything I was playing with. And Dan Ledbetter, was the editor of Volkswagen Trends. They're both still in the magazine publishing industry and basically kicked my career out the door. And when you can hang on to relationships like this for this many years and cultivate that on occasion, keep things moving, You literally will move from one idea, which will then lead to the next idea, which will really end up being something that's worthwhile in your life. This was a mall. I did a show at the Main Place Mall in Santa Ana, California, when I was first getting started. And a guy came up to me right after the show and he says, I have never seen anybody sell their work at an art show like you did. He said, I will pay you anything if you'll get me that equipment and teach me how to carve eggshells and sell them. And up to that time, every time I'd bump into someone who wanted to learn how to do what I was learning to do and doing, I would tell them no, because I didn't want any competitors. I'd finally found something. I never told anybody I was a dentist when I went out. It was just too silly. And with the dental drill as the noisemaker, then everyone assumed or figured out fairly quickly that I had something to do with dentistry. But I would consistently say no. And then somewhere over the airport, I was flying home that day, and over Vegas, I got the idea of building the company, Paragrade. I even came up with the name on that plane ride home. And that little moment then led to the next moment, which is now 38 years of them. And if you'll just watch for that pattern, you start to see that you're moving from your as-is world to something better. You'll see that how this fits in what you're actually doing or you're trying to accomplish. And it will gradually be uphill, always. You can trust the fact that if it's difficult to do where you're going, then it is uphill. And that's always the better choice. If it's a slam dunk and it's easy, I guarantee it's not going to bring you or contribute to your life what you really want it to do at all. We have a 7-step program of going from an amateur to the master and success of something. And what started out as my story became our story, and now what we're looking for is what can you contribute. This was on the cover of Compressed Air magazine. This is DeVille. This is our, who's the huge compressor company? Ingersoll Rand. This is their trade magazine, and 80,000 people saw this worldwide. And when you start realizing that what happens with your early work and the degree of exposure you can get, then you start developing the art of getting there, from where you are to where you'd like to be. And now you can launch that whole effort. Get yourself your journal started on the Google Plus and start capturing every thought and every idea, every quote that appeals to you, and put it over into that easy to look at journal. Okay? Then watch for everything that is appropriate that will go into that. The things that you consistently like and the choices you make. This is one of the earliest pages in my personal journal. It was an article about Thanksgiving. And I just liked what they said. I always do some filling in and writing and noting and marking up, and everything I read gets pulverized too. But then I wanted to keep this one, so I taped it on a black page and put it in my journal. It's been there for 40 years, over 40 years now. And when you start posting those kinds of things, and then later you stumble onto the fact that this is the thank you business, I've got entry after entry into my journals to have anything to do with Thanksgiving. And the trick is to figure out, instead of a life like this one, good luck, what's wrong with that picture? If that's the way you live, you're not going to end up anywhere. You're going to all over the place, ends up nowhere. And if you're the kind of person that doesn't plan and doesn't prepare anything, you just throw the things in the trunk and away you go, you're going to have adventure, but you're not going to have anything that actually ends up and works out. This is the real story of life. I don't know anybody that doesn't slip off the road. And without a pathway, without a plan, without a direction that you're planning to go, the odds are that you're not likely to succeed. And all our group does, this relationship that we're building, is a degree of strength of helping each of us to discover, develop, master, and share our individual talents. I was taught by my Indian friends. Utah has a lot of Native American people, and one of the great legends of the Indian nations is the number 7. Anytime you see the sequence of seven identical things, it's a sign of good fortune. So 7 boulders in a valley, 7 trees in a pasture, 7 geese flying. Pay attention and notice those 7 entities, because they're a sign of good fortune. And I try to live by that. I found this one. This was in Oprah Winfrey's magazine. Just trust yourself, then you'll know how to live. Ron Schneeberger's putting a book together about trusting in your own judgment, trusting in your own abilities, because that's how he has tried to live. And when you see something like this, and you see how that fits in that sequence, all of a sudden now you got another tool, another asset to help you begin to figure out, this is where I am, but here's where I'd like to be. And if you can start to spot and grow your own individual strengths and then overcome your weaknesses, you start to really manage and do better. I tell the story of Tom Mangelson every time I get the chance, because I crossed paths with this picture years ago at the MGM Grand Casino in Lake Tahoe, and the painting was for sale. And I just went crazy. It was so cool. And so I bought it and had him send it home to me. But it took a while for it to get home. And when I got home, the dealer called me and said that Tom had just passed away. This was actually his last edition. And as I visited with him, he told me that Tom, all his life, he was an illustrator in San Francisco, but what he wanted to do really was to live in a cabin in Lake Tahoe and paint wildlife. So eventually he did that. He built the cabin, painted 2 other pictures. This was his 3rd and final picture of his life. And I just try to help people realize you can't put off the things that most interest you, the things that most keep nudging your life. It's our responsibility that we take that inspiration and do something with it. It's the way your life should actually go. And then when you turn around and lift others as you go, it doesn't get any better than that, guys. I had a dream for a long time. I hope that I get to do this show this year, and then the next year will be the 40th anniversary of moving and going in the direction of producing the work and then doing a really good job of marketing it. If you can kind of sense that there's something important there for you, then even something as ordinary and as simple as carving in an eggshell literally can light a fire in you and begin to help you develop this deep, expressive part of your soul. Art is expression. It's your way of doing it. So you learn what someone else has done to begin with, but then what you're trying to do is develop your own. And if you don't learn how to do a good job in the marketplace, then you're going to starve. So, calling every artist, anybody out there that's struggling with the economy, the trick is to learn how to do your artistic marketing and do a better job of it. This guy, Bill Gakis from Australia, photographs his daughter in old artistic poses. And that child has got one of the most gorgeous sets of eyes ever. And he just won the National Photographer of the Year award. Build a studio, place where you can discover your own individual talents, and then learn to package them and learning to sell them. Pretty good way to go. We've evolved from one good idea to another good idea to another good idea, which literally has been the progress of the company over the last 35 years. The Paragraver is a very exotic tool, fastest ultra-high-speed rotary tool on the planet. But it will do things cut and carve and engrave that other people have never, ever, ever even dawned on. And when we get in our training programs and try and help you learn how to move from your as-is world to something better, we have some phenomenal, phenomenal success stories. Jimmy Griffiths helped me get it started. First super salesman I ever run into in my life. Isn't anything this guy couldn't sell. And they did the quotes and the little plaques. These were magnetic decals that they sold. Did 3,000 of these a month and sold them for $1 a piece. And my favorite quote of my life is, so far as miracles in the doing. And this woman here has been on the phones helping all of you guys for over 30 years now. And realize how important TAM is in the entire equation. Being able to help so many people solve their problems, available 24/7 damn near, to help you figure out from your as-is world to something better. Just nobody has pulled more. My entire family has put up with a lot. Their very eccentric dad has kept things going, and I have a rather unusual reputation in the marketplace, and they've had to deal with that all their lives. This is my famous friend, Keith Holm. He had some surgery done, got some little marks taken off of his cancer off his face, and got bruised really bad here. So I went on another day, and his only failing is he loves Pepsi. And so I just kind of shot the photograph to remember the moment, because I said most people will think I hit you. The fight over was it Coke or Pepsi is the best. When you realize that the miracle you're after seems as ordinary as hell, because all you do is just wade into it. You just try and do what you can, the best you can with the circumstances, and stay with it. It turns into a miracle right under your nose. And from engraving to then micro sandblasting and then adding airbrushing, all of these are extremely good hobbies that allow us to be able to help someone to find something that actually can make a buck. Not all hobbies are created equal. And every time we bump into someone like Al and Craig and Keith and their sons now, the whole family has taken this concept and run with it. Denny Wainscott's by far the most successful board carving artist, started with it years ago. These are relationships that we've cultivated and maintained. Greg Woodard is the world champion, was our first world champion in 1992, won the World Wood Carving Championship in Ocean City, Maryland. Joe Cummings was a contractor, worked with cement and outdoor buildings, big barns and buildings his whole life. Worked himself into an early grave doing cement work and contracting. And then he started carving with us several years ago. And it's just gone on and it's succeeded clear beyond reason. It has been so fun to watch him move from an amateur to a real pro and to a teacher. And Keith, this is the famous home studio, and we've had over 3,000 people come from all over the world to learn how to get their equipment and their training up and running. Marilyn Sunderland is also a master in our program, does the most incredible graphic art renderings that you've ever seen. Rick Nichols has been engraving custom personalization for his entire life. Lives in Prescott, Arizona now. Every one of these people have a lifestyle that most people would kill for. It's a profitable hobby that has allowed them to retire and play with their personal interests. Darwin loves things of antique, Western things, stuff that's going away and you're not going to see anymore. And there's just nobody does any better job of carving than Darwin. I met Robert Lee in Sacramento, California. And when he came to me, he was in a wheelchair. He had fallen out of a tree years ago and broke his back and has been in a wheelchair ever since. But there's very few people with the personality and the temperament of Robert Lee. One of the great motivating people I crossed paths with in my lifetime. And when I connect with what the INE is trying to do and what Profitable Hobbies is trying to do with the kind of people that have this same kind of desire and hope in their own life, it's a combination that to me is perhaps the best reason that we even exist. So all of you that are participating tonight, all of you that are here, I want you to know how much we appreciate your connection with us, how much we appreciate your combination, all that you share and all that you contribute to what we're doing, and the hope for the future of the Handmade Crusade. And realize that your life is yours to do with whatever you want to do with it. No one should direct the traffic of your last few precious years of living. But at the same time, without a plan, without something to go after that you really do believe in, then normal life and living will push you off the track or shove you off the side of the hill, off the road every time. So, if there's anything I can share with you tonight, going after that plan and that direction that you really consistently want to take on is the biggest issue there is. Alrighty, gang. Tamarie, let's give you first shot to throw your impressions into this, kiddo.
Well, things very well said. And I would like to be the very first to say happy anniversary. And you have some new things on the horizon, and I'm thrilled for you, and I wish you the very best in your endeavors, and know that you deserve all the good things this life has to offer. Thank you for I'm like Nick. I started in 1986. And a grand ride. It has been really a grand ride.
Hasn't been
and
dull.
I thank all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. Ron, I don't know anybody that's getting more out of this direction than you. It's been exciting this last couple of years to watch this part of your life now mature. What you're contributing and doing on Google Plus has been really amazing, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of a big change for me, but every day I get something in my life from Google Plus to let me know that I'm headed in the right direction. And today I got a message from Steve Lankard from Alaska encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing. Somebody from Florida messaged me and said, "You don't know what you posted today, how much that helped me with the problems I'm going through." So I went from producing a product to, I guess you could say, inspiring and motivating people, and it's taken me in a new direction, but a worthwhile one.
It's a lot of fun to watch. It's really a lot of fun to watch. Thank you for contributing so much over the years, Ron. It really has been.
Well, congratulations to you for 38 years, and your experience that you passed on to all of us and encouraged us means more than you know.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the only hope now. Just keep going. We've got to find a way to there's a whole generation of kids growing up that are going to forget how important handmade things are unless we are the ones beating the drum and waving the flag of the benefit that it's been to our own individual lives. So thanks, Ron. Nick, how's it been for you?
It's been great. Happy anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you. For coming.
It's been fun sharing some of the time. Basically had my engraver for a period of time, and then it's 2003 that I was out there for my first class and haven't looked back.
Yeah, we remember here when you come, things always happen. You're quite an idea generator, Nick, and it's so fun to have you're one of the most persistent, precise engravers we've got. Your work is just incredible. Always has been, because I think that's what you prefer to. So thank you, my friend, for your contribution.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so very much. Michael, you've also been to the company for classes. You've got your microphone on, bud?
Yes, I do, Dr. Lew, and congratulations on your anniversary, and you have been a great mentor to me.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Contributed a lot, and I appreciate your persistence, Mike. That's the one thing that you really do bring to the party. It's probably the only thing you really have to have is hang in there. So you represent that a great deal. Thank you much, Mike. Mel,
thank you.
Our friendship goes back, way back.
Yeah.
Couple of years. I just want to warn you, all of you, though, don't listen to anything Mel tells you, because he knows too damn much about me. He knows all the scary stuff. So the one time he mentioned he knows where all the bodies are buried. And that's kind of true.
Yeah, what's it been worth? What's it worth to you?
What's it worth to keep that quiet? Have you had any fun with your job, Mel?
Yeah, playing with the equipment and figuring out how to use it, which way to go with it, and what I could do with it has been a ball.
It's a great thing, isn't it? What you've done is that thread of interest as well, because you've played with stainless steel your entire life, and now it's kind of become your life. And I think, well, that's all I did with eggshells. That's what you've done now with stainless steel, is the same thing.
Yeah, you played with calcium in one form or another.
Yeah, that's true.
Calcium teeth.
Calcium carbonate.
Eggshells. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's kind of all been the same thread of interest, hasn't it? I just figured out how to become the world's first truly painless dentist. You just got to quit.
Yeah.
All right, you're a little newer. You've had your equipment for a little while, but you're really making some tremendous strides now. You got your business formed and your plans made. You're beginning to see more opportunity. Are you having a good time with your job now?
Oh, I'm having a real good time with my carving and my art. My job, not so much, but that's another story. Congrats on 38, and that's amazing in itself, and I really appreciate your continued help. I think everybody should know that, as you get into this, you're your own worst critic, and if you don't get out and show your stuff so people can give you some positive feedback, all you do is start carving and say, that stinks. That stinks. It's amazing how you look at everything that you do a little bit negatively, but I brought it when I was out at a show last weekend. I hadn't been out at the show for quite a few months, and I was kind of wondering, second-guessing what I was doing, and all of a sudden the positive feedback kind of reinvigorated everything I was going to do. And I think everybody's got to get out there and do that. I'm sure everybody who has been out there knows what I'm talking about, being your own worst critic and then getting lifted up a little bit.
Yeah.
And of course, your webinars do a little lifting too, so we really enjoy them.
Thank you. I always wonder about the webinar effort because it takes quite a bit to do it, except all you really do is just keep stirring the pot and banging the drum and waving the flag. And sometimes things hit you and other things don't. And I think you have to, just like today, I got close to coughing my head off again, and I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish. Except once you wade into it, sometimes things keep going and you can. So got another one in the history books, as they say. Lance, appreciate your contribution. Tremendous. Thank you, my boy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jay?
Yes, sir.
You've made some serious progress this last couple of years. You're kind of the rising star of what we're playing with here. And when we look at what's going on with veterans in this country who are trying to find a way to go, I hope you sense this, the example that you're becoming. If you succeed, you'll become a powerful new pathway to show others how to kind of deal with these struggles and get on to something that really can lift you as you go.
Oh yeah, I mean it really does. You know, like everybody else would say, you know, congratulations on 38 years. That's, you know, a heck of an accomplishment. When I got my equipment, what's been 3 years ago now, because of medical reasons, you know, medical conditions and stuff that I'd gone through, I didn't even care if I got out of bed in the mornings.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I had no reason to. And I got hold of this equipment and started playing with it. And like the story I've told a few times, when I first got my equipment, a friend would have to help me put it in my hand, wrap tape around my hand just so I could hang on to it.
Oh, and I heard that before. Really?
Oh, yeah,
couldn't even hold it, huh?
I couldn't even hold it. You know, a lot of it's because of size. You know, I could hold, you know, something big. I couldn't hold something little like that. And she would have to literally tape it into my hand, you know, so I could hang on to it. And once I started playing with it, and the more I played with it, and the more fun I had with it, you know, I started looking forward to getting up in the mornings, you know, looking forward to being able to try something new. And it's just, you know, kind of gone, you know, from there, thanks to you, thanks to Tammy Marie, you know, and everybody that's here. So.
Well, the combined story is what's really great. A lot of people promoting concepts and ideas out in the economy, especially doing hangouts, that not actually done anything. They don't have a thing that they're zeroing in on. And I hope the idea that there's a dream here and something really worthwhile living toward is the concept that is so helpful in wrestling with the rest of your life. Without a dream and some hope, that's just, life gets really difficult, too heavy. And you represent the best edge of everything we're trying to do, Jay. You just do not back off on what you've started. Don't even let the wild weather in Oklahoma keep you. Okay. All right, buddy. Because one day each of you will have a 38-year story to tell. If you just stay with it, cultivate it, grow it, do the best you can with what you have each and every day, and you literally, the only way you can be stopped is if you quit. Ed, you're the last testimony of the evening, and kind of a fun one. We've crossed paths several times in our years, and you've never been able to kind of get involved, and now you are more. You're still struggling immensely with getting something going, but at least you're hanging in there, buddy. And that, I think, is the greatest gift you can put into the equation.
Congratulations, Doc.
Thank you, buddy.
On 38 years. I first ran across the article on you when I was in Germany back in the 80s. First time I'd ever seen anything. I kept the article for quite some time, and over the years I tried to stay at least tracking the company. I would call. I've talked to several of your people in the office besides Tam Marie. And then, you know, and I always tried to stay abreast of what the company was doing. And then here about 6-7 years ago, when I got back in touch with you and found out about, you know, watching the webinars and stuff like that when you first started those. So I've been trying my best to do something. It's only been lately, you know, that I've actually realized how much the equipment can do, and how much talking with everybody and listening to your seminars that actually got me kind of keyed up, you might say. When I first saw the article a long time ago, you know, I thought, well, that's pretty interesting, you know, and I just let it slide by. Then a few years would go by, and I'd say, wow, you know, I'd like to see what's going on, and maybe try and start something with this outfit. So I would call, and I'd get them to send me some more information, and I would get my interest piqued up, and then something would happen, and it would kind of die down, and that went on for several years. And then, you know, here lately, like I said, about 7-8 years ago, you know, I said, you know, it's time for me to get off the old chair and actually, you know, see if I can actually do something with you guys. And so I've really been pushing harder and harder these last few years to try whatever I can to, number one, get some equipment, get some training, and actually try and focus in on something for myself. So I've been struggling, but I'm still there.
But you're still there, and you're hanging in there with it, and that's the only thing. The quote from President Roosevelt that talks about persistence is still the secret of everything that's ever been successful. Is people have just found some way to hang in there.
Yes,
and
sir.
As you try to figure out how to do that, that story is what defines the success of every one of our masters, every one of the people participating with us. Tammy gets call after phone call after phone call of people that have these amazing stories of their own individual success. Can you tell them about the girl that's the nurse, Tammy, that does her carvings of gun grips? Did she sell them on eBay? Can't remember her name right now. She was a nurse, and she had trouble with her insurance, so she started carving pistol grips and put them on eBay, and her whole business is on eBay now. And there's just story after story about the people with that many systems in the marketplace that we've had all these years. It just boggles my brain sometimes, the movement, the beginning of the movement of people that find a way to take a profitable hobby and turn it into enough of a success that it will literally pay the way to grow old.
I'm sorry, Lou. I'm not ignoring you. My computer keeps freezing and it keeps kicking me out.
I've noticed, Tam. I know what's going on.
Okay, and I didn't get to hear any of the comments.
Who calls?
So
carves the guns to pistol grips and has them on eBay?
Nellie Whitener.
Nellie Whitener. Go look her up on eBay, guys. She's making her living with gun grips on eBay. And you just, every time we hear a story like that of someone who's doing even better than we thought, they're busy and doing well, and we just don't hear from them as much as when we did in their beginnings. And to cross paths with people like that constantly with our 800 number and our internet service now, just easily one of the great delights. So, as we finish tonight, I wish a special blessing on all of you that this idea of your own dreams that mature and you get to a point where you can literally keep going. Just don't back off. Just go with the struggles and put yourself in a position where this time next year you're where you really do want to be. And then one more year will be my 40th anniversary. I hope I can make it to that point, and we can celebrate even more of the individual successes of all of you. Thank you very much for participating. I appreciate it immensely. It's very hard to go alone, And so the best thing we have going for us is this
Thank you very
connection
much.
now. Thank you from Google Plus. Thank you, all of you. Special thank you to you, Tam, tonight. Appreciate you coming. All right, everybody, good night and God bless, and we'll see you next week. We got step 3 of personal branding that we've got to finish now. Is how to use that stupid brand, okay? See you later.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Congratulations.
Good night. Hey, Ed, practice, practice, practice.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Ed, that's the way I've learned and got to where I am now is practice, practice, practice.
Like I
All right.
told you, when I first got mine, there wasn't a glass safe in the house.
Unfortunately, all I got is plastic.
Turn your machine down.
No.
Turn the air pressure down. You'll get the plastic instead of melt it.
I don't know if you heard about my meeting Friday.
No.
I went to State Voc Rehab and made a little presentation for my case manager and a consultant who supposedly was evaluating the situation. It got ugly real fast. There was a new case manager who asked to sit in and observe. She turned on me within the first 20 minutes. My case manager turned on me within the first 20 minutes, and so did the consultant. And it got heated, and it got ugly fast. In fact, I, at one point, lost my temper. The gentleman did not even give me a chance to finish making my presentation.
Hey, Mel, excuse me, Ed. Mel, it still shows that we're on live.
Oh, I don't know what to do. Everybody back out and let's start up a new one.
Well, I'm going to say goodnight, guys, and I'm going to head to bed. So have a good weekend, everybody. See you next week.
Okie doke.
Good night, Ron. Hope you get feeling better.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
I'll be waiting for your call, Mel.